Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who's tuning in today is doing super fantastic. Before I get into this episode, I do want to say make sure you follow me on my socials at a Tall Girls podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest so that you can stay up to date on all of the latest podcast episodes and catch a glimpse of my everyday life. Also, feel free to leave me a review and let me know how tall you are. I'm genuinely curious. Everything is going to be linked in the description. Is anyone else noticing a change in weather wherever they're at? It's March, which means the seasons are changing. And let me tell you, I've been noticing a lot of changes. Primary example, the sun is rising earlier. Usually when I wake up and get ready to get my day started, like 6:30 a.m., it'll be pitch black dark outside until like 7:30. But now I'm starting to wake up to the sun. That's a little interesting. And then on top of that, the sun is still up after 4 o'clock p.m. So when I go outside after class, the sun is still up. And now I'm starting to see 40, 50, and even 60-degree temperatures. You might as well say that spring is here. Well, not really, because the weather still has its moments where it'll be 30 degrees outside, especially at night. But I think we're headed in the right direction. I'm kind of ready for spring. I'm super excited for the fact that I don't have to worry about snow in the near future. I'm super excited about the fact that the days are going to be longer. I can actually get some sunshine. Vitamin D therapy is real, y'all. I'm also very excited to not put on 50 million layers before I leave the house, only to take off those layers once I get inside an area to put them back on when I go back outside. Let me tell you, trying to get dressed, like getting dressed in winter, is a whole workout, especially when you got to layer up. It's a whole workout, and I'm excited to just be wearing less layers. But I'm just tired of the darkness, tired of the cold, and I'm ready to experience some nice, beautiful spring weather. Now for the question of the day, is being tall awkward? Riddle me that. Like, what about your height? What about being tall makes you feel awkward? I don't know about you, but the more I say a particular word, the more I just don't understand its meaning or don't really remember its meaning. In that case, it's awkward, the word awkward. But when I say the word awkward, I mean like difficult, embarrassing, cumbersome, uncomfortable. What about being tall makes you feel those things? And if you asked me this question like 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would have definitely said that being tall is awkward, because I was the girl who tripped over air. I was the girl who could never sit properly in class because the desk was too small for me. I was the girl who felt really weird simply just standing because I didn't know what to do with my long arms. Being tall had its moments, and it definitely still does. But the older I get, the more I realize that there's more to it than just the standard tall girl problems. Societal expectations, personal confidence, even representation in the media and other industries can greatly affect how we perceive height. Not to say that the tall girl problems don't make things awkward or make things less awkward than the things that I mentioned before. But like I said, there is more to it than just the tall girl problems. I also think because the older we get, the more experiences that we have in life can affect how we perceive our height. And I feel like also the older we get, the more aware we are of certain situations. Like when we're younger, I don't think that we really remember or even process or synthesize what's happening to the fullest extent. But the older we get and, the more our brains develop, a lot of things change in regard to why we see our height the way that we do and how we see ourselves the way that we do. It definitely depends on the situation, but also depending on your age and those like awkward preteen and teen years. It's just, you try to make things less awkward by trying to fit in. And see, that's the problem. Trying to fit in fact, makes things worse. When I was younger, I thought that trying to fit in would make being tall less awkward. So I would slouch and hunch over like crazy just to be closer to my peers. I'd stand in the back or even kneel down in group photos. I would do everything possible just to try to hide myself and make myself smaller. And that just made things worse. And then on the flip side, I did what I was expected to do. And one of those things was to become an athlete. So I did that. And not to say that my whole experience being an athlete was horrible because I had a lot of great experiences. I met a lot of great people. I learned a lot about myself. Not all of it was bad, but I just personally don't think that it was meant for me in the long run. And when people start pointing out the little things related to your height, that's when it gets annoying. It's the, oh, aren't you a little too tall for that dress? Or the, oh my gosh, why are you so tall? Or the, why aren't you playing any sports? Like, don't you have someone else to annoy? But either way, no matter what it is, I'm starting to believe that something is not necessarily awkward unless you're making it awkward. Yes, there are things that we can't control. We can control our reactions to certain situations or certain people's comments. We can control our thoughts about our height and ourselves. We can control our thoughts not just about ourselves and our height, but also about others and why they say the things that they say or do the things that they do. We can also control our mindset. But then on the other side, there's also things that we can't necessarily control, like what people say about you to your face or behind your back, how people perceive you and their reactions to things, and so forth and so on. When looking at it in entirety, at the things that we can control and the things we can't control, it really just depends on how you look at the situation. And that is something that's in your control. How you look at the situation, how you see the situation, when you think about it, it's all up to you. So in terms of things being awkward, it kind of is entirely up to you. If you think that the situation is awkward, if you perceive being tall as being awkward, that is up to you. Okay, I'm not going to say entirely. I can't speak in absolute terms. So I'm not going to say it's 100% the case, but for the most part, it's up to you and how you see things. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It's okay to see yourself in that way. Sometimes it's okay to see your height or your body that way. Sometimes that's just how it is. We're all humans and we can't always think good and positive things all the time. Like, it's great to embrace your height with confidence and pride. And it's also okay to feel awkward and self-conscious in some situations. It's just important to recognize that your height is one aspect of you and doesn't define who you are as a person. There are so many more things than just physical appearance that make you who you are. Your personality traits, your hobbies, your values, your interests, your morals, all of that plays a part in you as a person. So no, being tall doesn't make you masculine. Being tall doesn't make you aggressive or scary or intimidating. And being tall certainly doesn't make you awkward. Let's just face the facts here. Your height is just one characteristic that makes you uniquely you. So just try to recognize and appreciate all of the strengths and qualities that you have that exist beyond your height. So in conclusion, being tall is not awkward, at least in my opinion. I don't think it is awkward, or at least 100% of the times. There are times where it just feels weird. There are times where it can feel difficult and it can feel uncomfortable. But like I said before, it depends on your mindset and it depends on how you see yourself and how you see your height. So I think a big thing that we all can work on, especially going into the summer, because sun's out, buns out, or whatever. But something we can work on going into the summer is just living life fearlessly and not caring what other people think about you and how other people see you, because we are all beautiful human beings the way we are. So I'm gonna end the episode here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. As always, feel free to hit me up on my socials at A Tall Girls Podcast. You know the drill. We could talk about being awkward. We could talk about our heights being awkward, or we could talk about other things being awkward, not just height, of course. Or we could just talk about life in general. I'm down for a chit chat, as long as it's appropriate, of course. And don't forget to leave me a review. All of my links are going to be in the description, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Good night and goodbye.